Okay, so we're continuing our look at Shotcut, and we're going to talk today specifically about doing text in Shotcut. Now, text in Shotcut is a little strange. I wasn't quite prepared for how it works, and I was honestly a touch disappointed. And the reason for that is I expected for text to be an object, an editable clip, much like Adobe Premiere or some other programs that I've used in the past, and it's not. What's weird about the text in Shotcut is it's a filter, and filters have to be applied to a clip. So this gets a little odd. If you're taking your text and you're putting it directly on top of a clip, great. Then it seems to work really well. Well, moderately well. There are some kind of funky things. So the first thing is I usually stay in editing mode, although FX mode can really help you. And so just kind of make this a little bit smaller and make that a little smaller. Because the effects workspace will give you the ability to edit your keyframes a little easier. But you can do the same thing in the editing mode, and I'll show you that in a minute. So like I said, in order to do this, you kind of have to add your text as a filter. So you go over here, you go in the FX workspace, you hit the plus symbol, and there's text rich. Now, I actually don't like text rich, and I'll show you why in a second. But I find that it actually really messes with some parts of the filter that I would have expected to be like, I don't know, really obvious. But we'll go through this really quickly and I'll show you. So anyhow, so I've got my text here, and I can just go in here with the text thing. I'll hit the center button, and let's just go all caps like Africa, right? And it's really, really, really tiny there, right? So I'm going to hit select all, and then I can start bumping up the font size here. There we go. Now your text tools are actually really far and few between. You can't do like leading, kerning, like a lot of that stuff. Like if I wanted to put like more space between the letters, I'd have to literally hit the space bar. Okay, so it is a little frustrating from that standpoint. I don't have a ton of options to do graphics. Honestly, like I could see a really good case for like working in Photoshop and creating an animation in Photoshop and then bringing that as a clip into Shotcut. But then that kind of destroys the purpose of working with free software. I haven't worked with GIMP enough to know if it can create movie files. So maybe I should learn that. But I'm just getting into these programs again. If you didn't see my previous demo on Shotcut and like why I'm starting to work with it, it's because my students don't have access to Adobe on their laptops. They only have access to it when they're in school, but we're in a hybrid model, so they're only in school 2 days a week anyway, and some of them might have to go on quarantine, so then they're trying to work from home on these district laptops that they've been given, and it just wasn't working. Adobe wasn't. They wanted the district to pay twice for Adobe because it goes by machine, so it's on this desktop, but it's also on this laptop. So now you're paying for twice for one student, and it just was a mess. So anyway, I'm trying to search for ways to kind of get away from Adobe. So I mean, it actually doesn't look too shabby right there. I mean, it's kind of nice, but it is what it is. And then if I wanted to like do some funky stuff, like it's kind of like old school. It's like trying to do font work with Microsoft Word from like the 1990s. It's particularly horrible. So anyway, I have this rich text, and so I've got my text in here, and you can see that it kind of has these little circles in the keyframes tab. And so what I can do is I can kind of like drag these in. Now they're not doing anything for me right now, but they will if I choose a preset. And so presets kind of allow you to basically do some animation with your text. So if I go here, I could say slide in from the top. So just do that. And then you'll see what I get is the text kind of comes down like this and slides in from the top. I mean, it's pretty obvious. And then this kind of like allows me to change the time. So now that transition takes 2 seconds instead of 1. It's still like really fast, and you can't really control like ease in, ease out, or anything like that. It's yeah, whatever. And then if I wanted to have it like slide back up, you might think that if I drag this forward, that then it would slide back up. No. And the reason is because there's no real ending filter. Whoops. I hate that. I hit Control Z and it gets rid of the whole dang thing. What? So when you want to undo stuff on filters, it doesn't undo stuff on filters. It's another problem. Like what it undid was me adding that clip instead of, which I did like a while ago. So it doesn't actually help you. So now I got to sit here and re-add this all in. That's really frustrating. Oh yeah, you can do cool things like you can add alpha to it, so you have it like be semi-transparent or whatever. There are some nice controls, but again, it's really, really basic. I mean, really basic. And then this was 160, so it's a good thing I remember. I mean, again, it's not. And oh, and I had spaces between each letter for my typography, my fancy typography here. So there we go. Woohoo. So anyway, and then I can, like I said, I can change what it's doing by doing a what did I do? I did a slide in from top, right? And there it is, and it just kind of slides in like that. Nice and simple, okay? That's basically it. And then, actually, I don't even know. Can I do a slide out then? So, save. Oh, you can save presets. That's kind of nice. So, then can I add a slide out top? And then it leaves. But see, the problem is you can't do both. Maybe. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so slides out and slides back in. So that's interesting. So you kind of have to do both. That's really kind of interesting. So slide out works better than a slide in. See, that didn't even happen when I was doing it. Anyway, it is. It's a little awkward. It's not the best stuff here, but you can do a lot. So then I can change my my font color here, so I can make it white. And is there a border color? See, that's what's weird. There's no border color. There's a border color in the simple one where you can like add a border, and I don't see it here. So now when it's white, like you can't see the text because it's over a bright area. So you'd have to go gray or something like that. So let's remove this. I mean, and it's fun to play with, and it does make certain portions of it easier, and you can animate position and background size. But notice, I mean, you shouldn't have to, but notice you can't animate the text size, which I find very interesting because you can animate the scale in the simple text. So if I type in text, there's a simple text filter, which for some reason automatically comes with a time code, which is actually kind of cool that they make it so easy for you to roll a time code on your video. Like, that's kind of neat. But is it useful? Not for me, really. So Africa, like that, okay? And now what I can do is I can really change some things in here, but you'll notice like some of my typography abilities are kind of gone. But I can change the size of this. So I can take this and I can scale it down. And then I can add my little spaces here. Really what they need to do is just combine these two things into, into each other, and you'd have a really, really cool text box, you know, or at least an adequate one. Then you can grab this center circle and kind of bring it around. I can align it to the top, middle, or bottom, so we'll go middle here. And you'll notice now, if I put it up here in this brighter area, what happens is it's got an outline around it, which is really cool. So over here, you've actually got some more options for the colors of your text. So I've got a font, I've got an outline. If I pump that outline up, you can see it kind of gets a little bit more distinct, but it allows me to separate my font from the background. It doesn't have a drop shadow option, unfortunately enough. So if you need that, that might be something to do, say in GIMP or something along those lines. But you know, that again, you're kind of looking at, you know, doing the best you can. But again, I can't do like that fancy thing where I was like trying to make the 1A, the 2A's bigger, and like you can't do it. It's like really, really frustrating. But you can animate more things here. So I can animate position and size. So I can hit the animation button, and now what I can do is I can kind of control these keyframes and drag them around. So I'll start here, and let's just say I wanted my position to what I like to do is end the position. So where do I want this to end? So I'll do that, and then I can kind of say, yeah, I want it here. Okay, and then I'll go back to the beginning, and I'll click this. And the reason why I don't like this is because once you start pushing things up and off the page, you have to like do some fancy, like nope. Yeah, so I have to like back out to see what's going on. It just gets kind of frustrating. So we're gonna do this, and then now I'm just going to take it and I'm just gonna scroll it right up and off the page there. And because of the keyframes, now it just animates exactly what it's doing. All right, just nice and simple. And then if I wanted to, I can do other things. So I can, you know, you can animate the position, which actually I did anyway because I'm dragging it around. So if I click on this keyframe, you'll notice my horizontals, what, 40 or 94 and 402 are my two positions. And then you see like this should be 402 again, really. There, so I can just kind of set that. And so now it's going to move in a straight line down because you can't drag it. And Shift key doesn't work like in the Adobe stuff where you wanted to keep it like locked into the center, which is kind of nice. That sort of a thing. And the positioning is a little weird because I was expecting it to go by like the center, and it doesn't. It goes by, I think it's the left corner. I'm not sure, but the 402 is weird because it's 1920, so if you're going by the center, it should be 900, 910. So I don't like that. I would rather it go from the center so I could really know that it's in the center. Because you start changing the size of this box, all of a sudden the numbers change a little bit. So anyway, so that's basically how I animate it. But then you might go, well, that's great, but you know, like, how do you, how would you maybe make it fade out, right? Because if I add a fade out clip, then it's going to be on top of everything. So if I go fade out video here, right, what's going to happen is it's going to fade out the whole video. It's not going to fade out the text. And I just undid it again. So that's where I'm just so used to hitting undo and redo. So that's where there's definitely some awkward stuff that happens here with the text. So what if I wanted to use text over top of the video and control it a little bit more as far as like fading in, fading out, that sort of thing? Well, maybe I'm stupid. Maybe, or I just haven't found it. But I can't find a way of adding text that's not on top of a clip. So you have a couple of options. If you need to add text to a black area, like let's say I just wanted to have text at the beginning, right? So I can take these three clips here, and I'm moving forward. And let's say I wanted to have text right here, right? Okay, moving forward a little bit more. So how am I going to do this? Well, pretty easy. So we'll just go back to editing. So what I have to do is I actually have to make a clip that's just black that's going to go in here. And then we can also use it something similar to go over top of the video. So let's do that. So actually what I'm going to do is I know I was moving those. I'm changing my plans now in the middle. So what we're going to do is, first things first, we're going to go into GIMP, which I already have open. So we have GIMP. Apparently not enough. There we go. So we have GIMP open here, and I'm going to make myself a new image. So I'm just going to go new image like this, and it's going to ask me some questions. And interestingly enough, it's already got 1920 by 1080. Now, a lot of that just depends on what your video source is. If you're just working with 1080p, then that's it right there. But honestly, if you're not sure, oh, come on. Let's go back here. So if you're not sure what you worked with, the easiest thing to do is just double click on one of your clips, and then you go, oh, stop, and then you go up here to properties, and it's going to tell you what your resolution is. So 1920 by 1080. That's what I was filming with here. So we're going to go back to GIMP, 1920 by 1080. There we go. There's some advanced options. Most of these you're gonna keep, and then it says fill with background color, and you can select. You can say white, transparency pattern, whatever. And in this case, we want the background color because our background color is set to black. That's perfect. So we're gonna click OK. So now I've got a nice 1920 by 1080 slug that I'm going to use as a clip. So all I do is I go File, Save As, and I'm going to go to my video drive, going to Africa. This is where I put the project file. So I'm just going to stink. I need to export it, not save it. GIMP gets me sometimes. So export as. There we go. And I'm going to go video storage. And there we go. We'll just stick it in here. And I'm just going to call it black slug. Oops. Thought I was typing it up here because it looked like it was highlighted. I'm so much more used to Photoshop. So we have blackslug.png right there. So that's one thing. So then the next thing that I might do, oh yeah, we don't save background color, yes. Export, that should be good. So hopefully that'll work. So I'm looking over here, and I've got my black slug there, and you can see the preview. It's exactly what I wanted. But now I'm going to do something else. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to set my foreground color to be some like green screen garish kind of a color. So just going to go like way over the top there with that green, and I'm just going to go edit fill with foreground color, and now I'm going to export it yet again, and I'm going to call it green screen slug, and export. And if I bring this over, now you can see I've got this green screen. Now why did I make the green screen? I'll tell you in a second. Okay, so now we can close GIMP, or I'll just minimize it. Let's go back to Shotcut. So now I can take these two slugs here. Let me go back to my playlist. Oops. All right, get that back. I'm going to take my two slugs and I'm going to just drag them right in here. So there we go. So we've got those two slugs there, and now we can use them in different ways to kind of create our text. So we'll just do this quickly again. So I can take the black text, or the black slug here. I can bring it down, bring it over, and then again I can go to my filters list. I can add text. We'll go to simple text, okay, and then I'll just type in Africa and just do the same thing again, just like that. And now you can see I can do all sorts of things with that. Let's see, I can use font size, so I can click here, get all my fonts. I can do all sorts of things. I can make it really, really tiny, or bigger, and then I can also scale it up with, obviously with just by changing the box, right? So I just change the box here, get that centered. There we go. So now I've got Africa. I can animate its position. I can animate its size. I can do all sorts of stuff. So if I just go like that, let's just do that so you can see it. So now I have Africa like that. And then I'm just going to animate its size. So let's just go like this and try to set it right there like that. So then I'm going to hit the stopwatch here to animate. And you'll notice that even in editing workspace, it takes you into your keyframes. You want to go back to your timeline. It's right there. Go back to keyframes. And so now I can set this as my beginning keyframe there. And then I can do like a zoom out. So I'll just set my timeline, add a new keyframe, and then I'm just going to kind of do this. Get it back in the center. I'd be more precise about it otherwise. But there we go. And now it's just zooming in just nice and simple. I did a pretty decent job of that. Oops, it kind of doesn't like me there. I'm not sure what's going on. Huh. But anyway, you get the idea. So I can do that. Now, let's say I want to put the text over top of a clip, but I also want to like fade the text in and fade the text out. Here's how I figured out how to do that. So I'm going to add a video track here, which is going to go above my existing video tracks. I appreciate that. And so we're going to go back to our playlist, and I'm going to grab my green slug. I'm going to extend it to equal the clip below it. So, oops, I grabbed the black slug. I didn't want that. I want the green slug. Okay. So I'm going to grab that green slug. There we go. Okay. So now we got this hideous green slug. Then we're going to take our playlist here, or our filters. So we're going to change the playlist to the filters. We're going to go to our text, simple. I'm going to type in Africa like that. Yeah, we'll just leave it like that. I can do my animations. So I'll just make it small. Kind of put it in the center. Keyframe. Go forward all the way to the end. Grow it a little bit like that. Trash that. It seems to be creating new keyframes on me. I'm not quite sure what I was doing wrong there, just like before, but there we go. I get rid of it. So there we go. So we've just got a nice zoom, right? So now what I should be able to do is a fade in, fade out. So I'm going to go into a fade in video. So now it kind of comes in like that, and I can kind of angle that a little bit so it takes, 20 frames or so, and then I'll do a fade out video and do the same thing, make it about a 20 frame transition. So now we're going to see this kind of go in and come out. So now you're going to say, oh, that's great, but guess what? I still don't see the video clip. Ah, yes. So now we're going to add a green screen. So now if I take this and I'm going to do a chroma key, I do believe, chroma key, this is my advanced chroma key, and we're just going to set it here like this. I'm going to test that, and bam. Now it makes it nice and simple. You can change the green a little bit more just to make sure that you're not getting any edge there, and look at that. Now that's interesting. So it's like the fade out wasn't working. I wonder if the order of these filters does matter. So I'm gonna put it here in first, and let's see what happens. Oh, interesting. Huh. That's really kind of weird. I didn't expect that. So as I'm illustrating to you, the order of your tag or of your stuff really matters. So what I probably am going to get rid of the fade in, fade out, obviously. And let's see, I don't know if there is there an opacity? Ah, there is. So I have an opacity and I can animate it. So I'm going to take this and I'll just hit the start button there, the stopwatch button, and our first keyframe will be at 0. We'll go forward a little bit, and then I'll create a new keyframe with my levels here. So hit the stopwatch and type in 100. It's not working? Really? I can't type it in? Okay, fine. So 100. There we go. Go a little bit further. Stopwatch. Go to the end. Stopwatch again. And back to 0. So now I've essentially done a fade in, fade out. Let's just see. And that looks pretty darn good. But as you can see, kind of like I was saying before, like it's cumbersome. It's kind of cumbersome to do that. But at the same time, at least you can. Like, it's got all the basic tools that you need in order to do what you might need to do. So while it's kind of silly that I had to do a green slug, throw a chroma key filter on top of it, then put the text filter on top of that, at least I was able to actually do it. Whereas, of course, in Adobe Premiere, done. You make a text, you throw it on there, and you're finished. So it takes you about twice as long to do it. But once you learn how, it's honestly not that horrible. And like I said, it seems to work out pretty darn well, if I do say so myself. Still got a little green edging around that, so I would have to worry about that. But at the same time, you just barely see it. It's not too bad. So that's where I would just kind of like, yeah, just take that green delta way up. Maybe play with the red delta a little bit. Whoa. Yeah, no. Yeah, because it's only one color, I could just push all those over to the right, and it works. It seems to work really well. Yeah, that's not worked. This slope didn't help there. So that looks good. You can invert it. That'd be funny. Oy. So anyway, so that's essentially a quick, not so quick, but moderately quick tutorial into how you can work with text in Shotcut. It's not as easy as you might hope it to be, but guess what? It does work. So anyhow, hopefully this helped you. Do some text in Shotcut. Maybe it gave you some ideas. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, let me know. If you've worked with Shotcut and you've got better alternatives for text, let me know in the comments below. Hit the like button, hit the dislike button, and subscribe. Thank you. Have a great night.